If you watch the Cajun Cardboard channel, I want you to consider using the PWCC Marketplace. It's a great place to buy sports cards, and you can even support the channel through my affiliate link, which is conveniently located in the YouTube description to this very video you're about to watch. Pause the video, get into the YouTube description, look in the top right of the channel, and you're going to see a link to PWCC. Save that link in your browser, and now you are able to buy sports cards on the PWCC Marketplace just like I do, and at the same time support the Cajun Cardboard channel. Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana with another episode of Best of the Best. This is a series where I go through the best Jordan cards based on aesthetics. This is my personal opinion. I pick my 3 favorite cards in order, 3, 2, 1, and I also pick 2 honorable mention cards in no particular order. This is not about value. This is not about scarcity. This is not about what other people like. This is just me picking the cards that I like the most from each particular year. We started way back in 1984. If you missed that, you can jump on the playlist and you'll see we've got it. 84, 85, 86, 87, etc., etc. Today's episode is 1996. Let's not waste any more time. The first card I'm talking about today is this club right here. It's the 1996 Stadium Club High Risers. There is a members only variation of this card, but you're looking at a card that is not the crazy rarest card in the world, but the pop is 13 in PSA 10. It's only sold twice in the past 2 years, and it sold for $24.27 September of 2021. And you guys remember 2021 was supposed to be a peak, right? That's supposed to be the epitome, the height, the climax, that's what she said, of Jordan card prices. And as you can see, it wasn't. The card sold for about $3,500 in 2 days before the new year of 2023. My guess is if this card showed up, and Card Ladder seems to think it's about $90 more today, I think this card would push like $4,000, maybe $5,000 if it sold today. We've seen Jordan low pop PSA 10s sell for record-breaking prices. I gotta believe this card would sell for a hell of a lot more if it sold in the next few days. $3,500 is the most that's ever been paid for this card. It's a pop 13. Again, it's only been graded 403 times between PSA and BGS, and there's only 18 combined gems. I've got the card, and as always, I like to share kind of what I have with you guys, just so you guys have a sense of transparency. I've got 4 out of these 5 cards that we're going to look at today. And this one I do have. It's just a great card. It features Jordan in his black pinstripes. He's shooting his absolutely picture-perfect jump shot, which you will almost never see any flaw in the mechanics for a Michael Jordan jump shot. Notwithstanding the 1993 Scoring Kings that I talk about all the time, where his guide hand is all the way down by his waist for some reason. He must have gotten fouled on that one. But here's my PSA 10 copy of the card. The back is interesting. It's sort of like the front, but it takes Jordan out of the picture. You still see the city and the buildings, but they're like on flip reverse sides, and they're kind of like rainbow colors, so just a little bit different. Great card. You can see it says High Risers right there. There is a members only variation of this card, which is also extremely crazy, very low pop. I have a PSA 8 members only variation in my collection, but that's card number 1 right there. Again, this is a card that you guys, if you watch the hierarchy, we talk about it all the time. You want to go out and pick up this card in a PSA 8, you're looking at a freaking $150 card. Over the last 2 years, it's probably down. It is. It's down 28% over the last 2 years. The card hit a high of what, $235. The last one sold for $158. You're looking at a $150 to $200 card is basically what I'm getting at if you wanted to put this badass into your collection. All right, card number, the second honorable mention card, we'll call it, is 1996 Skybox EX2000. This is the net assets. It is an intricately die-cut card. Those net holes are die-cut. So where you see blank spaces between the white net strings, those are die-cut. This is another card that I do have. I'll show you what mine looks like. It is right here. That's my copy right there. Again, Jordan shooting what looks to be like almost like a reverse layup finger roll over his right shoulder, like Wilt Chamberlain used to do, and just kind of unfurl it at the rim. The back looks similar to the front. It's just the reverse negative of it. And it says, his airness, who had earned 8 league scoring titles already, continues to impress opponents and fans alike. In Cleveland this year, MJ notched the first triple-double in All-Star game history, tallying 14, 11, Great looking card. This card is from the 1996 Skybox EX2000 set, and it is the net assets. It's die cut. Let's look at this card. This is a card that fetches a little bit higher price than the high risers, but not too much higher. But it's triple the pop, so that's something interesting, right? That's the kind of how we crunch the numbers and we make calculated decisions. This one is 3,800 last sold, and that was in February of this year. So about 7 months ago, this card sold, and it looks like that's about right. 4,000, 3,800, 3,100 was the low point of the last 2 years. The last 9 sales, 3,120 is as low as it's been, and 4,500 is as high as it's been. So this card sort of held its head, down 9.5%, dating all the way back to October of 2021. So let's get to the top 3, right? That's what we want to see. Top 3. A lot of people are going to be like, dude, what the hell? This is number 1. I don't know. It might be number 1 on your list. It's not number 1 on my list. It is a big time card. I could be convinced that it should be moved up to 2 or 1. I've got it at number 3, and it won't be the last die cut that we see. We just saw the die cut net assets. Now we're looking at the die cut above. This is a huge card. This exact card that you are looking at is owned by my very good friend and frequent guest of the show and MJ Hierarchy compatriot, Josh Dawson at Northeast Sports Cards. And the reason I know this exact card is owned by Josh is because of this right here. There's only one in the world, and Josh has it. And there it is. The PSA 10 is a 0.88% gem rate. With BGS, you can actually get this card for about, I think the last one sold for about 20 grand. Let's see. We're going to look at some numbers in a second. But it's a 12% gem rate. Still not great, but at least it's double digits. PSA is not giving out 10s freely. I'd be shocked if they gave another PSA 10 out. The PSA 10 hasn't sold in Foreverville. There it is. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think that was Josh Dawson's purchase. I don't know. We'll have to ask him, but I think that's the one he purchased, unless whoever purchased it in 2015 then sold it to Josh. But there's only one of them out there, and so that's it. Another card, if we look at the card in PSA 8 condition, still a big card, okay? Still a real big card. It's about the same as the high risers and the net assets that we just saw in PSA 10 condition, and in PSA 8, it's still only a pop 40. This is a tough pack odds card, so that's what's going to make it unique. Most people are grading this with Beckett. PSA, for obvious reasons, the 0.88 and then the 12%. You got about a 15 times chance of getting a gem with BGS as you do with PSA. The PSA 8 sells for about 40. The BGS 9.5 is a pop 29, okay? And the last one of those sold for $19,000. And so here we go back here. This is why you can't always rely on the card ladder value. We know that's not correct, right? And again, no slight to Josh and Chris and Christina and the folks at Card Ladder. They do their best to tie these things to indexes and whatnot, but we know that it's not worth $12,500 in PSA 10 if the last BGS 9.5 sold for $19,000. And so that's what that card's done all time. Over the last 2 years, that's what it looks like. It's been as low as 8,100. It's been as high as 19,000, which was the last sale. It's actually up a bit, despite the fact that it's an odd way of getting up 5.5%. I do own this card as well, and I do own one of the 29 BGS 9.5s, and so this is what mine looks like. This is a card that is often faked, often counterfeited. Be very, very careful buying this card, even if you're buying it in a PSA or a BGS or an SGC slab. I am never, ever going to tell you guys that I'm an expert on delineating the difference between a counterfeit card and an authentic card. I am not that guy. I know people who are that guy or those guys, and I rely heavily on them. That's part of the beauty of being, in the Jordan community and the hobby, is that there are so many helpful people out there who have been doing this for significantly longer than me and us, maybe, if you're watching this, that you can always find somebody to usually conclusively tell you whether a card is authentic or fake. This one, there are fakes out there, and usually it has to do with the saw blades, okay? The saw blades, not necessarily the blades themselves, but the that most in-cut portion of those saw blades and the shape of those saw blades. That's what the back looks like, and it's also just badass. It's just a great looking card. I don't know what else to say about it. I love the font that they chose to use for cut above down there, and this is my mixed gem copy right here. Card number 2 on our list is a monster. It is the Big Men on Court. There is a Z-Pete parallel of this card. I, for one, personally, I like the normal better than the Z-Pete. Let me know in the comments. Am I crazy about that? I think that the regular looks better than the Z-Pete looks like. The Z-Pete is obviously super, super expensive, but this is a card from 1996 Skybox Z-Force, and it is the big men on court. Not man, men on court, because it's an insert set. So they're all men. Man, plural, man is men. So there's more than one in the set, so it's men. So just make sure when you search it, I search it. When I search it, I search 1996 Jordan Big Court, and it always pulls up as many as I need. The PSA 10 last sold in 2020. So this chart, throw it out the window. Let's see if we can find a BGS 9.5 sale. It did. It sold about 10 months ago for $3,938. I know, I am certain, since there's been a 9, 10, almost 10 month gap between the last time this card sold, this card is going to jump significantly. If you could pick this card up for $4,000 right now, you should get on your horse and go pick this card up for $4,000 right now. That's just my best advice. Card Ladder says about $4,061. There's no way this card's selling for $4,061 in my personal opinion. So just keep your eyes open, keep your ears open if you're looking to pick this card up. It might not be a bad time if you can work some kind of deal using these comps, because I don't think it's going to be there. I think it's going to be closer to here. And this is one of those cards that has run and made a run and then has reset. Obviously, you can see it sold for $8,000 at one point in a private sale in the crazy calendar year of 2021. It's come back down to less than half of that. My guess is there's no way the next one sells for. I don't think it's going to sell for less than $5,000 or $6,000. That's just me personally. I don't know if it's going to run all the way back up to $8,000, but a lot of these Jordan cards that we've looked at have run back to pre-pandemic or mid-pandemic prices. But this card, as you can see, is down 51%. Another card that's not graded that much, it's only been graded 402 times is what it looks like between PSA and BGS. PSA with a 4% gem rate. Again, a lot of these cards are going to Beckett. Look at the total population graded by PSA, 145. Beckett, 257. Why? The gem rate is 4% here and 18% here. And even though there's this huge disparity between the value of the PSA and the value of the Beckett, people want those Gem 9.5s for their collection, and a lot of people, and my hand is held high, a lot of people who collect cards from the 1990s don't mind having their cards in Beckett, because Beckett was actually king for a while there. I know that's hard to believe for the ultra-modern collectors, and I wasn't collecting in the 90s. Well, I was for part of the 90s, but then not part of the other 90s. I definitely wasn't collecting Jordan in the 90s, so I'm not speaking from experience. I'm speaking from research and communicating and learning about the industry standards. At one point, Beckett was on top, and then it flip-flopped, and PSA took it and hasn't looked back. So Big Men on Court is my number 2 card. Again, if you want to look at the Z-Pete, there's the Z-Pete. The Z-Pete recently sold for $7,600 in a BGS 9.5, and that is a pop 25. Again, the regular Big Men on Court, pop 46, so a little bit less than half. And then number 1, for those of you who hadn't figured it out, it's the 1996 Flair Showcase Hot Shots, and I just absolutely love this card. A lot of similarities between this and the cut above, right? The way it's shaped, the fact that the bottom is sort of square, or I should say, linear, and then it's got flames. Basically, it's die cut into flames with a color gradation right to left, from red to orange to yellow. This is a pop 20 in a PSA 10, and this card very recently sold for $27,900, which is 5.68% more than the last one. This card's also been graded almost the exact same as the cut above. As the Big Men on Court. This card's been graded about 382 times, so very similar to the cut above. To the Big Men on Court. Here we go. PSA gem rate 13%. Look at the BGS gem rate. 50%. Do you think that might explain why people pull a PSA 9 and then they're like, ho, let's just try to grade this thing with the BGS 9.5, and then they have a much more likelihood to get that gem that they're looking for? There is a BGS 10 out there. I think that's probably, and by the way, you can click those buttons and it'll take you right to it. The BGS 10 last sold in 2012. So Card Ladder has no idea what that card's worth. They put 31,000 on there. We don't know. It's a pop 1. If you get one crazy nut job out there who really wants it in BGS, you never know what the card could sell for, but that's what the card looks like. Let's look at the card all time. What is the highest this card's ever sold for? Okay, so this is another one of those Jordan cards where the last sale is the highest sale. And by the way, I do have this card as well, and I have this card in a BGS 9.5 as well right here. I do not own the Big Men on Court. I used to own that card in a Z-Pete BGS 8.5, and again, that is one, I should have said this as well. This card is really, really common commonly counterfeited. So this is a card I highly suggest, even in a slab, do not buy this card without somebody with a big brain who knows real from fakes authenticating this card for you. Do not just guess. Do not assume that it is not counterfeit. There are a lot of counterfeits of this card. Specifically, it's the Z-Pete, I think, that was counterfeited the most. In fact, it might only be the Z-Pete. I don't know that, but I know that there was a list of BGS cert numbers that kind of slipped through the cracks, and it was a big submission from, I think it was from Taiwan. It was somewhere in Asia. I can't remember. And Beckett authenticated and graded all of them. Many of them graded fantastic because they were counterfeited cards and new cards, and they are in BGS slabs and appear to be legit. And I think on Blowout Forum there is a list of the Beckett certification numbers that are indeed fake despite being in Beckett slabs. Anyway, going back to our card of the day, yeah, the Hot Shots PSA 10 last sold for $27,900, so a monster card, and $26,000 right before that, so it was not just an anomaly. The 9.5 is way down here, right? You're talking about a 1/7, a 7-to-1 type ratio between the BGS 9.5 and the PSA 10. If we look at this card over the last 2 years, look at the BGS 9.5 down 42%, and look at the PSA 10 up 5%. And so this is the deal where if I'm a buyer and I'm a collector of Jordan cards and I'm a grade snob, I'm going to chase the BGS 9.5. I mean, 7-to-1 ratio is just too great. I know it's pop 118 versus pop 20, and I know the gem rate is drastically different, but gem mint, in my book, for Jordan, high pack odds, tough pull, 90s inserts and parallels, gem is gem, man. If we want to try to pick this card up in a fair grade, a BGS 9 goes for about $3,000. There's your chart right there, pretty steady recently over the past few months. And then a PSA 9 is going to go for about $3,900, but even the PSA 9 is down 44.29%. So while the PSA 10's performing very well, the BGS 9.5 and the PSA 9 seem to be coming down. Apologies, my phone's going off, which if you watch my channel often enough, you know that is not unusual because I forget to put it on silent. At least you know these videos are authentic and not edited. Thank you guys as always for watching. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby. Which cards did I leave out that you guys would have included? And it gets impossible. I can only pick 5 cards, so it's damn near impossible. I've got to take one out to put one of yours in. Which amount are you going to take out of that top 5 to put in one of the cards that you love from the year 1996? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby. Peace.